Hey everyone, and welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Alex.
Glad to be here.
This is episode number 7, and on this one we're diving deep into the stories of entrepreneurs who took no for an answer and turned it into yes.
Yeah, those are always inspiring.
You'll hear their struggles, celebrate their successes,
Yeah.
and maybe even pick up some game-changing lessons.
Hopefully, yeah.
So today we're joined by Sarah, our resident expert on all things innovation and design.
That's me.
Ready to uncover some serious entrepreneurial wisdom.
Absolutely.
I think today's deep dive is going to be particularly inspiring.
Okay, so we're tackling Sir James Dyson today, the man behind those. You know, sleek, bagless vacuum cleaners.
I think everyone's seen those.
You probably have one in your home right now.
I know I do.
Or you've coveted one.
Oh, for sure.
But here's the thing. You might not know this. His path to success was paved with over 5,000 failed prototypes.
Wow, 5,000. That's unbelievable.
Let that sink in for a moment. It's a powerful reminder that even the most brilliant innovators face setbacks.
Yeah, no, it challenges that whole overnight success myth.
It does. We often see the end product, the shiny success story. But we rarely get a glimpse of, the sweat, the frustration, the sheer determination that went into making it a reality.
Yeah, and I think Dyson's story is a perfect example of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so before we get to the vacuums, let's rewind a little bit. Back to his early life. He was born in 1947, and from what I've read, he was always fascinated by how things work. But here's the interesting part. He went to art school.
It's not the usual path.
He studied furniture and interior design at the Royal College of Art.
That's what's so fascinating about Dyson. He didn't follow a typical engineering path. His background in the arts is woven into everything he creates.
I see that.
It's not just about functionality, it's about aesthetics, how people interact with the object.
Yeah, you can totally see that in his products.
For sure.
Like the DC-01,
Yes.
his iconic vacuum cleaner. It wasn't just a functional appliance, it was almost like a sculpture, a statement piece.
Absolutely. And that design sensibility was already evident in his early inventions, before he even tackled vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, he was kind of a serial inventor. What were some of those other creations?
He designed a high-speed landing craft called the Sea Truck.
The landing craft.
Yeah.
Like a war movie?
Yes. And then he came up with the ball barrow, a wheelbarrow that used a ball instead of a wheel.
Oh, wow.
Almost a precursor to those ball-shaped vacuum cleaners, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
He even designed a contraption for launching boats.
It sounds like he was obsessed with improving upon existing designs.
Absolutely. Take the wheelboat, for example. It could travel on both land and water at a speed of 40 miles per hour.
Wow.
It just shows his constant drive to innovate, to push boundaries.
That's incredible. And that drive ultimately led him to his most famous invention.
Yeah.
But it all started with a moment of frustration.
Oh, yes. The infamous vacuum cleaner incident of the late 1970s.
I've heard about this.
Dyson was struggling with his own vacuum. The bag kept clogging, the suction was terrible. And it just dawned on him, there has to be a better way.
I think we've all been there.
Oh, for sure.
Wrestling with that clunky vacuum cleaner.
Yes.
Cursing those dust-filled bags.
And that's where the real genius comes in. Dyson observed a sawmill using cyclone technology to separate sawdust from the air.
Wait, cyclone technology? How did he even connect those two things?
It's a classic case of cross-pollination of ideas. He saw potential where others didn't. He saw a solution to his vacuum problem in a completely unrelated industry.
It's amazing.
That's the mark of a true innovator.
So he had this aha moment. And what, did he rush out and build a prototype?
Well, he did build a rudimentary cyclone out of cardboard and attached it to his vacuum.
Cardboard.
Yeah.
I love that he started with something so simple.
It's a reminder that innovation doesn't always require fancy labs and expensive equipment. Sometimes all you need is a problem to solve and a willingness to experiment.
And of course, that prototype worked.
It did.
But it wasn't smooth sailing from there, was it? This is where we get to those 5,000 prototypes, right?
That's right.
5 years of tinkering, testing, refining.
That's right. And it wasn't just him in the workshop. Toiling away in isolation, his wife, an art teacher, was the primary breadwinner during those years, supporting his vision.
I can't even imagine.
It takes a lot of faith, not to mention patience.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about their partnership and the belief they both had in his idea.
5,000 prototypes.
5,000.
It just goes to show that,
Yeah.
that success is 99% failure isn't just a motivational quote. It was Dyson's reality.
It's a powerful lesson for anyone, really. Building a successful business or pursuing any dream. It's about having the resilience to keep going even when things get tough.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to fail, to learn from your mistakes, and keep pushing forward.
So he finally perfects the design. This bagless vacuum cleaner is ready for the world. And you'd think everyone would be eager to ditch their dusty old bags, right?
Not exactly. In fact, established vacuum manufacturers had absolutely no interest in his design.
Wait, really? Why not? Sounds like a brilliant idea.
Think about it. Their entire business model was built on selling replacement bags. Dyson's bagless design threatened to disrupt a multi-million-dollar industry.
So it's kind of a classic case of not invented here syndrome.
It was.
They were too invested in the old way of doing things to even consider something new, even if it was better.
Exactly.
So what did Dyson do? Give up?
Not at all. He took a bold step. He decided to go straight to the consumer, and not just any consumer. He launched the G-Force cleaner in Japan in 1983. And get this, he sold it via catalog sales for a whopping $2,000.
$2,000. That's more than some people spend on their entire appliance collection.
Adjusting for inflation, that's over $5,000 today. It was a bold move, and a clear signal that he believed in his product. He wasn't trying to undercut the competition. He was positioning it as a premium, innovative product for a discerning market.
And I guess the Japanese market was known for embracing cutting-edge technology and design, right?
Exactly. He was strategically tapping into a market that valued what he was offering.
Smart move.
And it paid off. The G-Force was a hit in Japan, ultimately winning the 1991 International Design Fair Prize.
Yeah, it's incredible. He went outside his comfort zone, geographically and in terms of his target market, and it really paid off.
It did.
That win in Japan must have been a huge turning point.
It was. It gave him credibility, validation, and the capital to finally launch his own company. In 1993, Dyson Ltd. was born in the UK, and with it, the iconic Dyson Dual Cyclone, or DC01, the vacuum cleaner. That would change everything. But we'll dive into that story right after this.
So he's got this award-winning vacuum cleaner that's a hit in Japan. He's back in the UK, starts his own company. What happens next?
He launches the Dyson Dual Cyclone, the DC01, and it pretty much takes the UK by storm.
Yeah, this is the one I remember from my childhood. My parents, they were obsessed with it. Was it that much better than the old vacuums with bags?
I mean, think about it from the consumer perspective. You're constantly battling clogged bags, loss of suction, and then the added expense of buying replacements. Dyson comes along and says, say goodbye to the bag.
Yeah.
It was a simple message, but it tapped into a real frustration. And of course, the DC01 delivered on that promise.
It was brilliant marketing, too.
It was.
He wasn't just a new vacuum cleaner. It was like a whole new way of thinking about cleaning.
Exactly.
And that's how Dyson became one of the most popular appliance brands in the UK, almost overnight.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing to think that a product so revolutionary came from something as mundane as a clogged vacuum bag. But Dyson didn't just stop there, did he? He kept innovating.
No, and he kept going.
Pushing the boundaries of design and technology.
He built a whole culture of innovation. Around that initial success, Dyson invested heavily in research and development, creating an environment where his engineers were encouraged to experiment, take risks, to not be afraid of failure.
I read somewhere that he actually encouraged failure.
He did.
That he saw it as a necessary part of the learning process.
That's right. He has this famous quote, "Enjoy failure and learn from it. You never learn from success."
That's interesting.
A pretty radical approach, but it obviously worked for him.
So what were some of the other innovations that came out of this failure-friendly environment?
When 2006, he introduced the Dyson Airblade hand dryer. You've probably seen them in public restrooms.
Yeah, the ones that sound like a jet engine.
Yeah.
But dry your hands super fast. I always wondered how those things worked.
It's pretty clever, actually. It uses a thin layer of air instead of heat to dry your hands, which makes it more energy efficient and hygienic.
That makes sense. And then there's that bladeless fan. That seemed like magic when it came out.
Yeah. The Air Multiplier fan launched in 2009. It uses a completely different technology to create airflow, drawing in air and amplifying it to create a powerful, smooth stream of air.
It looks like something straight out of a science fiction movie. Speaking of futuristic design, we can't forget about the supersonic hairdryer. That thing's like a work of art.
It really is. Released in 2016, the Supersonic is known for its unique design and quiet operation. Dyson completely rethought the traditional hairdryer, placing the motor in the handle to improve balance and reduce noise.
It's just amazing to see how far Dyson has come from that cardboard cyclone prototype
Yeah.
to a global empire of innovative products.
It really is. His story is a testament to what can happen when you combine a relentless drive to solve problems with a willingness to embrace failure and keep pushing boundaries.
So what's the biggest takeaway for our listeners? What can we learn from Sir James Dyson?
I think there are several key lessons here. First, success doesn't happen overnight. It takes hard work, perseverance, and a willingness to experiment.
And maybe even thousands of failed prototypes.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to fail. Embrace it as a learning opportunity. And remember, sometimes the most brilliant ideas come from looking outside your own industry, from connecting seemingly unrelated concepts.
Like Dyson saw a solution to his vacuum problem in a sawmill.
Exactly. It's a reminder to be curious, to be observant, and to always be on the lookout for inspiration, no matter where you find it.
And just as important, I think it's that unwavering belief in your vision. Even when others doubt you, Dyson faced rejection after rejection from those established companies, but he never gave up on his idea.
He knew he had something special, and he was determined to bring it to the world, even if it meant forging his own path.
That's inspiring. So for all our listeners out there who are working towards a goal, who have a dream that they're chasing, remember Sir James Dyson. Remember those 5,000 prototypes. Remember that even the most groundbreaking innovations come from a place of perseverance, resilience, and a little bit of curiosity. Now, before we wrap things up, I have a question for you. What stood out to you the most about Dyson's journey?
You know, for me, it's the power of combining different disciplines. Dyson's background in art wasn't a detour. It was essential to his success as an inventor. He brought a unique perspective to engineering, a focus on aesthetics and user experience. That set his products apart. It's a reminder that our diverse experiences and interests can be our greatest strengths.
That's a great point. It's not just about being good at one thing. It's about bringing all of who you are to the table.
Exactly. And you know what? That's something we can all apply to our own lives. Think about your own skills, your passions, your experiences. How can you combine them in a unique way to solve problems or create something new?
That's a great question for our listeners to ponder. So before we sign off, I have one final thought for you all, something to really chew on. What's that one thing in your life, that gadget, that tool, that process, that could be just a little bit better? Maybe it's something you use every day and just accept as it is. Or maybe it's something that frustrates you, but you've never really thought about changing it. What if you channeled your inner Dyson? What if you said, I could make this better?
That's a powerful challenge. And who knows, you might just be the next Dyson in the making.
You never know where a little bit of curiosity and a lot of determination might lead you.
That's the truth.
It's funny, we talk about these entrepreneurs, these big aha moments, but I bet most of us have had similar moments in our own lives. Like, there's got to be a better way.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's human nature to see problems and try to fix them. It's just that some people, like Dyson, really run with it.
Yeah. So what's the difference between someone who just complains about a clogged vacuum bag and someone like Dyson who says, I'm going to reinvent this whole thing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Part of it is that unwavering belief that we were talking about before, that you can actually make a difference. But there's also this fearlessness, I think, a willingness to step outside your comfort zone and challenge the status quo.
Yeah, Dyson didn't just invent a new vacuum. He challenged a whole industry.
He did.
And he faced so much resistance.
I know. Imagine going up against all those companies. They had the money, the distribution, the brand recognition.
It's intimidating.
But Dyson had something they didn't, a truly new product. That solved a problem for people. And he was relentless.
He had that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
He saw opportunities where others just saw obstacles.
Exactly.
He turned rejection into fuel.
He did.
He went to Japan, built a following, won awards, and came back to the UK with momentum.
It's a lesson in strategic thinking for sure.
Yeah. It's a reminder that sometimes you have to create your own opportunities.
Absolutely.
You can't just wait for someone to hand them to you.
You have to forge your own path.
So thinking back on everything we've discussed, what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from Dyson's story?
For me, it's the importance of curiosity. Dyson was never satisfied with just how things are. He was always asking why and how can we do better? That fueled all his innovations, and it's something we can all cultivate.
It's not just for inventors either.
No.
Curiosity is so valuable.
It keeps you engaged, open to new ideas.
It's like the spark for creativity.
Yeah.
And you never know where it might lead you.
That's the truth.
Beautifully said. So to wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Think back to that challenge we posed earlier. What's that one thing in your life that you wish was a little better? What problem are you going to solve?
It could be anything.
Maybe you have an idea for a new product, or maybe it's just something small, a way to improve something at work, or a new approach to a personal challenge. Whatever it is, don't settle for the status quo. Channel your inner Dyson. Ask yourself, how can I make this better?
Yeah. The world's full of problems waiting to be solved.
And you might just be the one to do it.
You never know.
That's a great message to end on. Thanks for joining us on Money Talks. And a huge thank you to Sarah for sharing her insights.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time.